Welcome to Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram, Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers at VMware. And today I'm joined by Manish and Soumya. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Manish, let's start with you. Do you want to just give yourself an introduction, who you are, what you do in VMware?
Absolutely. So good morning, afternoon, evening, based on wherever you are. Thanks for joining today. My name is Manish Arora. I'm Director of Product Management, part of the Cloud Provider Business Unit.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for having me in this conversation today. I'm Soumya from Cloud Ops team. Basically, I'm responsible for all that goes into compliance module within ARIA Operations. And today I'm all excited to present ARIA Operations Compliance Pack for Sovereign Cloud. So let's get started.
Excellent. Thanks, Soumya. And right, so we're here to talk about the new ARIA Sovereign Cloud Compliance Pack and all of the value that brings. So let's start with a little bit of positioning, Manish. Let's look at what the pack does overall, why it's been created, and kind of what it actually does. So I know you've got a few slides here. Do you want to step us through them?
So overall, I think data sovereignty over the years has become more stringent than ever before, and mainly due to the all the geopolitical landscape changes, guys, that we've been going through with the war in Ukraine and Russia. They have definitely heightened this. And then also the US Cloud Act, which provide US government jurisdictional control over the data that the US based hyperscalers are processing and storing for the foreign enterprises all around the world. So that's a key kind of driver for us to find out solutions around compliance that can help our providers, our customers to ensure their infrastructure is compliant on an ongoing basis, based on all the laws and the regulations that have been coming up. There's security standards, and so the challenge for the organizations, especially in the EMEA and APJ region, is that how they can continue to innovate their offerings, their services, their solutions to their end customers without compromising data sovereignty, digital sovereignty, and making sure that they are at all times compliant with the regulations on the region that they are hosting their infrastructure. So I thought, Guy and Soumya, I thought maybe we can just quickly do a refresher on what's really the sovereign cloud framework involves, right? And that helps us understand, focus on how this exciting new release and functionality as part of the sovereign cloud portfolio aligns with the overall VMware sovereign cloud messaging and positioning, and how working with the policymakers and regulators and providers, we're shaping the agenda in the market. So just very quickly, this is the framework that over the years VMware has developed for a sovereign cloud initiative that we launched a couple of years back. And this is, like I said, in collaboration with all the providers and their customers, especially in the regulated industries and public sector government entities, and it really involves these 5 key principles, right, as you can see on the slide. So the first and the foremost is the sovereign ownership. So it's all about the ownership of the cloud infrastructure. The ownership has to be by a national entity within the sovereign jurisdiction. The second key principle is jurisdictional control, the need for complete jurisdictional control and authority over the infrastructure, the data that resides and processed in that infrastructure. So basically, the US Cloud Act, don't apply with that, jurisdictional control. The third is around data residency, and when we say when we say data being resident part of the sovereign borders, we're talking about all kinds of data, right? It's of course it's the workload data, it's the control data, the metadata that gets generated, so all the data should reside, as part of the sovereign soil, as part of that jurisdictional boundary. The fourth one here is what sometimes often overlooked, is around operations and management. So the folks that are managing the infrastructure, the IT personnel, the support staff that that the providers have, they should be part of that region with proper national clearance. They should be the citizens of that region. So that's the fourth one. Fifth one is what basically we're gonna be talking about, and that's where this announcement aligns with our overall framework around the compliance and the data security piece, right? And which is very important to any cloud, right? Security and privacy, but more so for sovereign clouds. So the fifth principle talks about the cloud, the sovereign cloud must always comply with the local laws and regulations and the security standards of that region. For example, if you have a cloud in sovereign cloud in France, it must comply with the SECNA, which is the security standard there. And similarly, sovereign cloud in Australia, should follow the ARIA. That's their security framework in the Australian region. Yeah, so I think every country, every region has a different security standard. So we need to ensure that the sovereign cloud operating in that region, is kind of, is compliant with that, those frameworks.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I think there's a couple of kind of just points I just want to draw on here. First of all, like when people think of sovereign cloud, there's a lot of noise at the moment about sovereign cloud in the market. These are the key principles or the key pillars that VMware has devised, which actually nicely align with what CISPay has also been defining with the EU. But security is a national requirement. It's not something the EU is going to kind of legislate. So your national security is your national ownership. And as you say, we see like Secnum Cloud in France, G5 and G2, in Germany, and a bunch of others are emerging. So there's compliance with the EU for data privacy, such as GDPR, but there's also national levels of compliance and security that must be adhered to. So really, I think, it's really good that we're now looking more heavily at the compliance side of it, because that's going to be the faster that sovereign cloud evolves, the faster these nations start producing their own standards, the more our cloud providers are going to have to focus on keeping control and managing the status of their clouds.
Yeah. No, well said, Guy. I think, a lot of people also confuse like the data sovereignty with data residency. And I think that's what you were touching about, being the national security, being the national requirement, right? So it's not just only about the data where it's physically and geographically stored. It's also, about the jurisdiction and the laws, the security laws and the regulations, that govern that data in that region, is what basically the sovereignty aspect of the infrastructure needs to be maintained, right? And so so this slide, so based on the overarching, sovereign framework that we saw in the last slide, so VMware has come up with this 20-point checklist, what we call it as sovereign controls. And every sovereign cloud provider should already be aware of this checklist, this breakdown of the framework into specific controls. And because they self-attest it as they get onboarded and nominated and become certified sovereign cloud provider as part of the VMware program, they have to self-attest to these controls. And these set of controls, one thing is important to mention is they're intended to provide this general guidance, right, for organizations. that are considering, data sovereignty, that are considering VMware sovereign solutions, that are building, sovereign cloud infrastructure and platform and hosting services, sovereign services for their government tenants or their regulated public sector tenants, right? So these controls are now getting implemented as part of the ARIA Operations platform, and we'll talk more about that. And Soumya has got an exciting demo that will show you all the features around there. But the important piece is that these are general controls, and they basically aligns with making sure that your infrastructure is overall compliant. But you will need to have business, legal, and technical expertise, in terms of auditing and making sure you're following the best practices around the reference architectures. So that these controls are implemented, correctly on the stack that you're showing on the slide, right? So on the right-hand side, you can see the VMware sovereign cloud stack. When it comes to sovereign cloud, there's no definition, but over the years, we have come up with a framework and a 20-point control, and based on that, we have built a sovereign cloud stack that basically meets those data sovereignty and compliance requirements, where the ARIA Operations compliance pack for sovereign cloud, is going to be is a game changer, right? Because it provides that trust model for providers and the sovereign tenants between the provider, and it basically give them the assurance, the provider along with their end customers, that the infrastructure that they have built as part of the VMware sovereign cloud stack and the services that they're running on top of that infrastructure and the solutions that they're offering to their sovereign tenants is compliant based on that 20-point checklist at all times. It's continuously monitored and it's compliant. And then we'll talk about the specific capabilities around this new offering from VMware, right? So this slide basically gives you a quick rundown of all the benefits that are coming in the V1 release. This is our first version of the sovereign cloud compliance pack for ARIA Operations for our sovereign cloud providers. So this, we're providing a comprehensive compliance checklist that encompasses that sovereign framework. And it's used as a benchmark to continuously validate, applications and infrastructures to assist partners maintain their sovereign security posture, right? And this brings in extended capabilities now for ARIA Operations platform as well, in addition to the cost, capacity, performance management, right? So we now can monitor and report compliance drifts to the sovereign stakeholders to better manage, their compliance infrastructure. So, with this offering, this is our first foray into this, so that we can continue to add value on the compliance and the security piece of the framework for overall as part of the sovereign cloud portfolio. And we will VMware will continue to invest more into the this functionality as we go into the roadmap. Just quickly with this release, what providers can, Soumya can help us show in the demo is around, the compliance dashboard, which has which will give you a compliance score of all the components in your infrastructure that we're monitoring. And, it will have a, reporting and alerting and also an object level drill down, where you could get more information on the violations that may be happening in your infrastructure based on those the compliance checklist that we saw.
Manish, what's the so this is great, and what's the cost to a cloud provider to utilize this pack? Is there a particular edition of ARIA Operations they need? Is there any additional cost?
So we want to continue. We want to continue to offer, more ROI for our partners on their existing investments they have made into the VMware stack and services. So this compliance pack, the version that we have come out in V1 is basically can be enabled at no additional charge to our sovereign cloud providers. As long as they have certain, version of the ARIA Operations platform, which is I believe the release is the 8.10.2, and also they need to have the advanced or the higher license for the ARIA Operations, the VROps license. As long as they maintain that in their environment, this pack can be downloaded from the marketplace and can be enabled, on the existing the infrastructure that they already have in their environments, right? So they don't need to, there's no additional cost to the providers at the end of the day to start leveraging all these features that and the capabilities we have built as part of this first offering.
Okay. And that's great. I mean, it sounds like there's, out of the 20-point checklist for sovereign cloud, obviously we're not able to cover everything because a lot of things are physical as well as logical. But Soumya, let's dive into it. I'm really excited to see what we've got.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Manish. I think Manish has put his thoughts through very careful with selected words, and I think he has talked about how important sovereign cloud is for our customers. Basically, how it offers them to establish a trust kind of a relationship with their customers. Right? VMware Sovereign Cloud, as we talk, is offering local cloud-like infrastructure, but at the same point in time is ensuring greater control over the infrastructural assets, having giving them the ability to have a lot more control on the confidentiality of the data, and also helping them to protect various assets, right? And also to adhere to data privacy requirements and also other regulatory benchmarks that they need to adhere to as part of operating in their industry vertical. It's very important that this offering is out there for all our customers to go about leveraging. And alongside, like what Manish was mentioning, it is a great deal to also have a continuously monitoring capability available so that it automatically surfaces the misconfigurations and helps the IT personnel, whoever is looking at the sovereign cloud infrastructure, be able to better manage their compliance posture. So today we are going to look into the demo of what we have built as part of that in phase one. Let me start sharing my screen. Let me know once the screen is up and you're able to see.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, the link. So this is what we were talking about, how ARIA Operations Compliance Pack for Sovereign Cloud is complementing the Sovereign Cloud offering itself for all of the partners who are part of the Sovereign Cloud initiative. And the pack itself is very, very carefully curated and offers stringent control over your infrastructure. Right. Having said that, what this compliance pack offers, we will definitely look at it in the demo. But if I have to highlight the features, it is a self-serviceable pack and it can be easily deployed by any partner in the dedicated instance of ARIA Operations that is connected with your sovereign cloud. So having said that, once you go about enabling this compliance pack, automatically it connects to the endpoints that you want to monitor, and it fetches all of the resources that it will go about assessing for compliance assessment. And once that is done, the partner will be able to see all of the misconfigurations as part of alerts. Apart from that, what this pack also offers is the capability to generate audit-friendly reports, so that not just the partner, but eventually the tenants also have access to the reports which will help them look at the various misconfigurations that are available within their environment, right? Having that is yet another complementing capability which is available for the tenants to make use of and be able to maintain a better compliance posture as part of their environment as well. Right. That is about it. And apart from that, if you look at ARIA Operations already, it supports out-of-the-box regulatory frameworks. So what partners could do about is they can combine any of the regulatory frameworks that they want to adhere to along with the sovereign cloud compliance controls and create a custom compliance pack, right? This is like an icing on the cake. Which will help them build a compliance pack so that they can help their tenants operating in various industry verticals not only be able to adhere to sovereign controls, but also be able to adhere to the regulatory framework of their choice, which will help them, be rest assured of the regulatory compliance requirements in their industry or vertical. Yeah. Let me now quickly jump over to the demo now that we have understood the benefits of this. And even before we jump into the demo, all I want to say is any personnel who is willing to have the sovereign cloud compliance capabilities should have access to marketplace wherein they can go about downloading a sovereign cloud management pack or a compliance pack that we have recently built. So as a partner, you just log into VMware Marketplace, and once you sign in, you will be able to download a local copy of the sovereign cloud management pack itself. So as you can see on the screen, this is the first version of vRealize compliance pack for sovereign cloud that we are offering with all of the features and capabilities that I just mentioned. This is definitely going to help all of the VCPP partners to remain compliant as part of the sovereign cloud checklist, and is based on the 20-point sovereign cloud checklist as Manish was talking about. And yeah, it's very simple, right? Since sovereign cloud compliance pack is offered for on-prem customers, you go about downloading a local copy of this management pack. And along with that, within your sovereign cloud environment, you need to have a dedicated instance of vRealize Operations as well, which in future will be called as ARIA Operations. Okay. So what we are seeing here is an instance of VROps, which already has a sovereign cloud compliance pack installed on it. But what I was trying to do as part of another environment was to showcase a page where the sovereign cloud was not even installed. So I wanted to show that experience as well. Nevertheless, any VCPP partner who wants to enable sovereign cloud compliance pack as part of their environment should go through a certain number of steps in order to initially enable or rather install the compliance pack as part of his sovereign cloud environment. So having said that, since I spoke about downloading a copy of the sovereign cloud compliance pack, let's assume that this pack was not here. And what is the initial experience of a partner here, right? All a partner that needs to do is go about installing that pack. And for that, he needs to access data sources and then integrations. Under repository, there is a capability for any of the partners to go about installing any management pack for that matter. And here in this case, as a prerequisite, the VCPP partner should be able to do two things here. One is, as a prerequisite, they need to install a management pack for VMware Cloud Director. Alongside, they should go about installing a pack of VMware Sovereign Cloud Compliance Pack that I just showed. Both of them are available in the marketplace here. You need to have enough control so that you have access to the marketplace and you are able to download a local copy of these management packs. So once you have this management pack handy, all you need to do is go about adding those management packs using the integrations page. So under repositories tab, you just click on add and you will have the capability to install any solutions pack. Right here for that fact, let me browse one of the local files that I just downloaded. So here, You need to browse the copy of the management pack that you have downloaded locally, and you can start uploading that. As part of the process, you go about agreeing to the end user license agreement, which will eventually provide way for you to go about completing the installation. Now that the management pack is already installed, I will not go about completing this flow. Yeah. So like I said, all you need to do is, as a prerequisite, you need to have two management packs in place: management pack for VMware Cloud Director and VMware Sovereign Cloud Compliance. Alongside, optionally, you can also download a copy of management pack for vCloud Director availability. And this is for those partners who also have Cloud Director availability as part of their environment. Yeah. So this is the first step towards. Sorry.
Do you need the NSXT pack as well?
Yes, I'm coming to it. What I'm talking, I just mentioned about the prerequisite, and an optional pack is already available that you can go about, again, downloading from VMware Marketplace. Yeah, but apart from that, what vRealize Operations offers is it comes preloaded with certain other management packs. As part of your VCF environments, you have vSphere related resources. You have NSXT as part of your environment. So vRealize Operations natively have these management packs preloaded within the ARIA Operations environment. So you don't need to download these management packs from the marketplace. So it is already available under the repositories tab for you to access. So now, having said this, with all of the prerequisites in place and all of that, now the partner should go about connecting to the target endpoints, right? Here in this case, let's assume the VCPP partner has vSphere and vSphere endpoints, and he has NSX as part of his environment, and they definitely should have VMware Cloud Director. They can go about adding these accounts and connecting those target endpoints through an adapter. And that you can do by simply adding an account where you need to provide the name for the adapter, and you need to provide the credentials for connecting to the endpoint itself. Here in this case, for you to connect to the vSphere resources, provide the vCenter server name and the appropriate connections, credentials, and go about validating the connections. Once the connection is validated, you can go about adding that particular account. Once you add that, automatically vSphere environment that you want to add to ARIA Operations will reflect, and the number will be denoted as that the account got added. Likewise, if you have multiple vSphere environments, you can go about adding all of those accounts here. The same set of procedures need to be followed for NSXT as well if you have NSXT as part of your environment, and you need to also configure your vCloud Director. And optionally, you can also add accounts if you have vCloud Director. Now, having said that, now as the partner has added accounts, you'll be able to notice all of these as part of your accounts tab. So you need to ensure that all of these accounts are reflected here and are active here. You can ensure that they are active by noticing the status. All of the status of the adapters that you have just added should be okay even before you initiate the enabling of Sovereign Cloud Compliance Pack, right? These are the prerequisites that you need to do, and this is a one-time setup that any partner needs to do in order to connect to all of these endpoints. Right now, let us look at how we can go about enabling compliance. Right from home, all you need to do is click on the compliance link that is available under Manage Configuration. And since you have downloaded and installed the Sovereign Cloud Compliance Pack from the marketplace, that compliance pack will be reflected under VMware Cloud tab. And for any user who wants to go about performing a sovereign cloud assessment, they need to go about enabling this pack. So in order to enable a sovereign cloud compliance pack, there is a list of policies that will appear as part of the enable policies wizard. All you can see as part of this list is all of the active policies. So if I have to briefly talk to you about what a policy is, these are the group of objects upon which the assessment will eventually happen, right? If there is a list of all of the policies, those resources that you want an assessment to be performed on. So here in this case, there's just one policy, meaning all of the objects that are collected as part of those adapters will be subjected for assessment. But if you want some custom policies in place and leave out certain resources and do not want them to be subjected for sovereign cloud assessment, you can go about grouping them under different policies and automatically choose the ones that across which you want to run the assessment. So once you do this, you just click enable, and all you can see is automatically the initiation of the compliance assessment will kick in. So this is the steps that a VCPP partner needs to follow in order to enable the sovereign cloud compliance pack. And automatically after this phase, everything is automatic. The misconfigurations will be assessed and they will be reported automatically. So let us look at another environment where I have all of this set up. So let's go to the compliance homepage directly. You can see that the assessment in this environment is already complete, and you can see there are 283 resources that has been assessed, out of which only 15% of the resources have been compliant, whereas 239 resources are non-compliant. So this is a scorecard which will give the partner a visualization of how many objects are compliant. And definitely this is a very important indicator, and the partner needs to level up and increase the compliance score here so that they adhere to the sovereign cloud control checklist, right? Let's deep dive into what are the misconfigurations by clicking on the scorecard here. Automatically, you will end up looking at a dashboard very specific for the sovereign cloud compliance assessment, right? Apart from the scorecard and the compliance score, all you can see is the rest of the widgets depicting the number of compliant objects and the number of non-compliant objects. Apart from that, there's yet another widget talking about the various objects that were subjected to the assessment and the breakdown of how many of them are compliant versus how many of them are non-compliant. Definitely, you do not want to see any of your resources under the graph. You want all of them in green and above the graph. So this is definitely a great indicator for you to analyze how many of those resources are really not adhering to your sovereign cloud checklist. Apart from that, you also have a list of alerts that is grouped by object type. You will be able to see all of the various resources that have been violating sovereign cloud compliance checklist, right? This is very specific for the sovereign cloud compliance here. So all of these resources that you're noticing and the number against them reflect all of those resources which have been violating the compliance checklist. Right? Let us look at each of those resources. So when I look at logical router as a resource, you will get to see all of the 35 logical routers which have been violating sovereign cloud checklist, right? Let's look into each of those because each of these resources could be violating more than one configuration, right? Here, as we look into one of these logical routers, definitely as a security measure, logging should be enabled and gateway firewall rules should be associated with the logical router. Here you can see that there is a misconfiguration that is reported, which is talking about that logging has been disabled across many gateway firewall rules. Right. So this is definitely a great indicator for the partner and the personnel to go and look into the exact resource and fix the firewall related logging issues. Right. Likewise, if there are many other misconfigurations that are reported at an object level, all of that will appear as part of the symptoms list here. So that is a list of all the misconfigurations. Now, let us look at other resources as well, right? We are talking about a framework and we're talking about the 20-point checklist, which is covering various segments of assessment, right? It includes data security and compliance, data access permissions that is available, data protection related capabilities and all of that, right? Let us also look at various other resources which is violating various other configurations here. So here, definitely encryption is something really important. You want to protect data, whether the data is at rest or is in motion, right? Here in this case, you're looking at a virtual machine where vMotion is not encrypted. The configuration of vMotion is not set. That means the data is not configured for encryption during transit. That is definitely a violation, and you want to report that as a misconfiguration. So all you're seeing here is various other misconfigurations also that is reported at a VM level. So, so these are the rest of the resources that we can look into. Maybe we can pick yet another resource here. Maybe we'll look at the
Soumya, before you go into another resource, I mean, there's obviously lots of resources in there. Is there any way that a provider can check the list of associated compliance items and policies that are being examined, and potentially turn off stuff that they, might feel is just noise and they don't need to see these types of alerts?
Oh, definitely. The user can see the list of all of the checks that that the object or the resource is subjected to. For example, the alerts list is the list of those which are violating the conditions and hence reported as misconfigurations. But if you look at the symptoms list, it is all of those which the resource is subjected to for assessment, right? You can very well see the rest of the details here as part of configure alerts. And within that, select the alert definitions, and you can go about filtering the set of sovereign cloud checklist, right? This will give you all of the alert definitions at an object level, and each of these objects have been subjected to various conditions, like I said, right? Here we are looking at ESXi host as a resource, and you can see the elaborate list of conditions that we go about checking at a host level here, right? Likewise, you can go about checking vCloud director. So here we are talking about various conditions that the vCloud director application will be subjected to. So here we're looking at activity logs, whether they are enabled or not, if edge gateways are protected, if the alpha features are turned off, if there are account lockdown procedures in place or not. So likewise, every application has its own control set against which it will get evaluated. Like what Manish was mentioning, this is the first set of controls that we have implemented across vSphere, NSXT, VCD, and VCDA. But we intend in the next upcoming releases to go about enhancing this set with more such resources and comprehensive checklists, building comprehensive checklists across the resources.
Yeah, if I wanted to, for example, disable the FIPS mode alarm here, because obviously that's a US-based standard, and I was based in EMEA, is that something that's easy to do to the pack and save it?
Yes, you cannot do that to the pack itself, but what you can go about doing is creating a custom benchmark, right? You can simply go about creating a new custom benchmark, and here, just a second for demonstration, let me show you. You will be able to see all of the controls that are part of the sovereign cloud compliance checklist, right? You can go about selecting the ones that are required for your organization, and you can set that against the policies that you require. That will automatically subject those resources for the selected alerts that you went about, selecting as part of the custom compliance. So this will enable all of those organizations now to go about utilizing the custom compliance feature instead of turning on the VMware Sovereign Cloud Compliance. In that case, you can go about creating a custom compliance pack wherein not only the sovereign cloud checklist that is required for your organization can be included, but you can go about leveraging other VMware security best practices that come as part of the security configuration guides. And also you can go about leveraging the existing regulatory frameworks that is part of the existing library of benchmarks available to our customers.
Okay, so I mean, specifically, if I wanted to have the sovereign cloud compliance pack but I wanted to remove FIPS from the Cloud Director tree, I could just create custom compliance, put everything in there, but I actually can then dive into the Cloud Director tree and disable FIPS alarms.
Yes, you can do
Okay.
that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this is how a user can go about enabling and looking at the various misconfigurations. But now let us look at a cool feature where he can go about generating a report, a non-compliance report, so that he can help IT personnel who are looking into this, or help the top management have a better view of their compliance. Have a better view of the misconfigurations that is reported as part of the environment itself, right? So let's look at visualize and reports. So as a partner, you will access Sovereign Cloud non-compliance report by searching for the keyword sovereign here, and you can see there is a VMware Sovereign Cloud non-compliance report. And what a user can do is he can go about generating organization level reports, which will reflect all of the misconfigurations that is available as part of the entire environment, right? For that, he needs to do certain steps here, select the vCloud Director adapter and select the organization that he belongs to. So select any of these organizations and go about initiating an assessment. So the report, automatically the initiation of the report will get started. And once the report is generated, you can see the list of all of the reports that have been previously generated and what you have initiated now. So this is the one that I had just initiated and it's processing. But let us look at one of the reports which was, yeah, I think there's one that got generated already. Let us look at the report that just got generated. So this is an organization-based report available to the partner. Here you can see as part of the assessment itself, what are the various objects that was subjected for compliance assessment. And if there were no objects that reported any misconfigurations, you will not see any data against that particular report. But as you go down, you will look at all of those resources which have been violating various misconfigurations. Like, for example, you have not enabled secure boot. So you'll give the information of what the misconfiguration is and against which object and when was that reported. So this is a comprehensive report that you can either go about sharing with your IT personnel or your tenants so that they can take care of the misconfigurations that has been reported as part of their environment, right? Having said that, just a second, we can also enable or generate reports at a tenant level. So here, using the same report, all you need to do is select the organization VDC that is reflective of the tenant's environment, right? Any tenant will have one or more VDCs as part of the environment. As long as you know the VDCs of the respective tenants, you can go about selecting that particular org VDCs and either generate or schedule a report for the tenant user as well, right? It also gets reflected as part of your environment. But the other benefit of generating this report is this report that you generate for a tenant is also reflected in the vCloud Director environment. So you don't have to manually facilitate this report to your tenants, but automatically these reports will be available for the tenants using the chargeback platform, right? We are looking at yet another application here, which is available to all of the tenants of the Sovereign Cloud Initiative. All they need to do is go about accessing tenant reports and look at the list of generated reports, wherein they can see the list of non-compliance reports that was generated for their organization. So this is just another copy of what you saw as the partner report, but this is reflective of the tenant environment, giving the tenant enough information about the misconfigurations that is reported as part of their environment. So these are the capabilities. Yes.
So the advantage there being that the tenant doesn't need to log into ARIA at all. They can access this directly from their VCD org. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, tenant users do not have access to ARIA operations. All of the flows that you saw initially that I demonstrated is for the partner to go about configuring the pack and be able to view at have a look at the dashboard and all of the alerts that got reported. But this is a feature for exclusive for the tenant, which will help them with a list of all the misconfigurations in their environment. Yes, they don't need to access ARIA operations for this.
Cool.
Yeah, as part of the demo, that is what I wanted to cover. And these are the benefits that we offer to both the partner and the tenants in order to be able to remain compliant and also be able to take care of any misconfigurations reported as part of their environment.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's some nice stuff here. So like you said at the start, this is version 1. More things will follow. There's obviously a lot in here, and I think partners will want to kind of tune down perhaps the visibility of non-compliance for their environment specifically, which is going to be an exercise they'd have to do. But this is a great starting point to start building your continuous compliance regime and offering that as a service to your sovereign cloud customers. Really good stuff. Thank you, team. Any last words?
Yeah, I think, I just want to emphasize, compliance and security is a very strategic pillar of the overall sovereign cloud framework and the portfolio. And, having something like this available in a very much self-serve manner with all the UI and UX workflows, built in on day one is an excellent jump start for providers and tenants to get their baseline, their foundational infrastructure future-proof, which is very important, as we are seeing sovereign cloud is becoming more and more table stakes, as providers and organizations in EMEA and APJ look into, building their infrastructures and updating their data centers where they're hosting these services for their sovereign customers. So very quickly, I know we only have 2 minutes left. Going forward, the work has just started for us. We'll continue to, iterate on this and innovate on it. And of course, the idea for the next set of capabilities is around looking at some of these specific regulatory frameworks that are pretty prevalent in EMEA and the APJ region, like GDPR, like stuff like, I think Guy, you mentioned like SecNum and IRAP in Australia. So we need to look into those regulatory frameworks and see what kind of guidance, either through software or through reference architectures or through our technical guidance documentations, we can continue to provide to these providers so that they can save, they can save a lot of money, time, and resources in terms of keeping their environments compliant at all times and ensuring that there is no compromise on the digital innovation along with the sovereignty. So thank you for having us again. This was great, and we'll be back soon with more stuff in the future.
I look forward to it, and thank you again, Samia, for walking us through the pack, and Manish giving us some of the background there. Looking forward to future iterations of this solution. Like you said, help cloud providers establish that baseline, and it's there today. So go and download it. Play with it, get familiar with the feel of it, and hopefully provide some value to your customers.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.